One was furious upon receiving your letter. Seized with anger, one set out to bring you to your senses.
Yeah! Skyward! Scatter! 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 Skyward! Scatter! Yeah! Skyward! Scatter!
In truth, one had more than a few misgivings about your chosen partner. As an exorcist, his talent was lacking. One could hardly say his skill with sigils was any better. But soon, one came to appreciate the devotion he bestowed upon you during your illness. He never uttered a complaint and rarely left your side. Unwilling to begrudge someone of such character, one decided to overlook his aforementioned deficiencies, glaring though they may have been. Wishing to grant you a life without regrets, one gathered many divine ingredients and used one's own blood to create a form of medicine. Though imperfect, it managed to suppress the more dire effects of your illness. As for how to deliver the medicine, after much contemplation, one eventually decided to perform the deed oneself. One took great care to alter one's features and select the appropriate attire. Only after meticulous scrutiny did one finally set out for Wangshu Inn. As one expected, you were most ignorant of one's true identity. You showed not even the slightest inkling of recognition. One was quite torn. Should one have celebrated the success of one's disguise, or mourn the loss of your acquaintance?
Yeah! Scatter!
Nevertheless, one would speak to you about another matter, if you are amenable. Even considering your loss of memory, one was simply flabbergasted that you could so easily forget the consequences of consuming medicine infused with Adepto blood. Its proclivity to attract monsters is hardly that complicated of a concept to remember. To think that you tried to travel while weak from sickness and heavy with child. Had one not intervened to clear the fog, all of you would have been lost during the night.
The secrets of the mechanical arts are too profound to convey in a few simple words. Oh, but why must the listener grow weary whenever I begin to divulge them?
Yeah! Skyward! Scatter! Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
Stray clouds converge!
Yeah! Skyward!
Inconsequential! Make way for the Adeptus!
Skyward!
Those monsters would hardly have pursued you with such ferocity without sufficient incentive. They were likely incited by the presence of godly remains. Said godly remains, in turn, were likely drawn to the trace of one scent on your body. One was, after all, an active participant in the Archon War. Some of the gods were likely shattered by contraptions of one's very making. In the end, one was relieved to see you endure through the night. At the break of dawn, one heard an infant's cry pierce through the air, and one saw you carefully cradle the child to your chest. Although certain mortal matters remain foreign to me, one could not help but be moved by your joy. To see you happy, that was more than enough.
Yeah! Skyward! Scatter! Yeah! Scatter! Yeah! Yeah! Skyward! Yeah! Skyward! Scatter! Yeah! Skyward!
Now you should have a complete understanding of the events.
Wait! But if that's true, then the crane who took care of me when I was sick must also be...
Ah, one had almost neglected to recount the absurdities of that tale.
Yeah! Scatter!
Hit! Yeah. Oh.
Yeah! Skyward! Scatter!
Just as you and I troubled one with her antics, so did you give one many a headache. Upon finding you burning with fever, one made plans to bring you back to one's abode for treatment. However, upon seeing one's form, you began to cry, refusing to get on one's back. When one asked you why, apparently you believed that one could not possibly be a true Adeptus, because all illuminated cranes are white from tip to toe. One had no choice but to apply powder to one's body to conceal the variegated nature of one's appearance. You became more than amenable enough when one stood before you devoid of any other coloring. It bears mentioning, however, that as a crane, Yuan was nearly entirely pure white in color. Though you had never encountered her in that form, you still recognize the essence of her being. Perhaps fate brought you two together in more ways than one. Now all has been revealed. One owes you an apology, Yuan. One recognized you upon your very entrance into Wanmin Restaurant. One has always viewed you as a disciple of equal standing with Ganyu and Shenhe.